So I get asked this question a lot, and that is basically, what are my favourite art supplies? What art supplies do I use for my artwork? What would I recommend? So I thought I'd start off with this little mini series about my favourite must-have art supplies. Starting today, I'm going to give you my favourite alcohol markers, my favourite coloured pencils, and also my favourite watercolour paints. If you like this and you want to know a little bit more about what other art supplies I'd recommend, please let me know in the comments. Of course, there are so many different art supplies out there, different brands, different suppliers. So these are just my favourites and ones that I would recommend. This video isn't sponsored in any way, shape or form, but I do have affiliate links for some of the brands that I mention in this series. So do feel free to go and check out those affiliate links in the description below. They won't cost you any extra, but I get a small percentage of any purchases you make, which is a nice little way to help support this channel. So let's get into it. I'm going to start off with alcohol markers. Now, this specific alcohol marker isn't just my favourite alcohol marker, but also probably one of my favourite brands altogether, and that's the Ohuhu Honolulu series. Ohuhu have several different series, but this Honolulu set is one of my favourites. The reason I love the Ohuhu Honolulu series is that they actually are double-ended like most alcohol markers, but they have the most sought after brush nib. This is something that I think a lot of artists really want from their alcohol markers, but surprisingly enough, not all brands have them. You tend to either get the fine nib plus the chisel nib. The Honolulu series has both the fine nib and the chisel nib sets, each with the brush set as well. The go-to for me is the brush nib. I love the fact that you can fill large areas with it and you can do fine detail with it as well. I've used several alcohol marker brands before, but the brush nib itself is the thing that's more difficult to find. And it certainly can be quite challenging to find that brush nib if your budget is limited. The wonderful thing is about Ohuhu is that they are so affordable and so easily accessible. You can get them in the US, you can get them in EU, you can get them in the UK, and they don't break the bank when you buy a set. I did a quick check before creating this video. At the minute, if you wanted to get a set of Ohuhu markers, say you just get the sort of basic colour range of about 24 markers, you'd be looking to spend about $20. Now, if you look at one of the sort of leading competitors in alcohol markers, and that's Copic, you'll be lucky to get even 3 markers for that same price range. There's no denying it, Copic are a fantastic brand. I've got some, I've used some, and they do work really well. They have a really high quality about them. But the same goes for the Ohuhu markers. They are a lovely size, they are a great quality barrel, nice and sturdy. The ink itself actually is perfect. It does exactly what it's supposed to. It's a really great quality, the colours are vibrant, they really pop. And I don't feel like you need to spend through the nose in order to buy the best quality art supplies. Sometimes I do feel like brands charge for the brand, if that makes sense. I don't know if Copic does. I think Copic is very famous, very popular, and I do wonder if actually they charge because they've got the word Copic on them, which is possible. I haven't worked with them, I don't know. It's the same for some companies, some flagship companies, they charge more because they've got the brand themselves as the selling point. But so even though the quality really is there and they can charge because of it, it's the association with the brand which helps them kind of increase their price. I definitely encourage fellow artists to stick to what they can afford. You can still get incredibly high quality art supplies for a very affordable price. I think there can be concern that, oh, if it's not priced very high, maybe the quality is not there, and I do understand that, but genuinely Ohuhu have this just amazing quality about them. I love using them. I actually use them for my 100 animals challenge, so I will pop the link to that somewhere in the top for you to go check that out if you want to. Yeah, I recommend Ohuhu mainly because they're affordable, they're great quality. The other great thing about Ohuhu, and I know that other companies do it, I think Copic do it as well, but you can actually buy replacement nibs. So the brush nib itself, most of them are fine, and I've never had any issues with the brush nib at all. With a lot of use, they can get kind of worn out, and replacing them can be quite nice to kind of restore those nibs. The same goes for replacement ink. I believe Ohuhu are working on that, if not right now, have been working on it. I know that they're doing it basically, so you can get replacement ink as well. And when you've got an affordable product that you can extend the life of, then I think you're winning. You invest in getting those replacement nibs, you invest in getting that replacement ink, and you take something that's already really affordable and you extend that life even further, and it means that you can just keep using the same the same pens forever. It massively reduces wastage. It's fantastic. Yes, like I said, I know other companies do it. I know Copic do it. I'm sure they do. And I'm all about sort of sustainability, and you're doing the planet a service. So yeah, I fully recommend Ohuhu. I love the Honolulu series specifically. So if you do like the look of these and you want to try them out yourself, I've got my affiliate link in the description. Again, I'm not sponsored for this video. I'm just doing it because I want to share what I like and what I like to use. But yes, Honolulu series Ohuhu markers, one of my must-have art supplies. Now, moving on to coloured pencils. I do have to preface this and say that I am by no means a coloured pencil expert. There are going to be so many other people who are better versed at, you know, understanding quality and everything when it comes to using coloured pencils. So I'm just going off what I've used. So that's what this is about. It's about sharing my experiences and ultimately kind of helping you decide what kind of art supplies that you want to invest in, if that's what you choose to do after this. But for coloured pencils, I'm going to go with the Arteza 72 coloured pencils expert set. Now, I was actually gifted these, but before I had these, I was using the Prismacolor set. So I've got experience in Prismacolor, I've got experience in the Arteza. They're quite similar from what, I mean, I don't want to commit any cardinal sins by saying they're the same, because they're probably not. But I find them to be quite similar. They're both soft leaded, they're both quite waxy cores, so that they're nice to blend, they're nice to work with, they're very soft, very smooth. What I like about the Arteza, and it's the same as Ohuhu really, is the combination of high quality and affordability. From a quick Google search, I believe this costs just under $40 if you're buying it in the US, which for 72 pencils is a pretty good price. Arteza promote themselves as being a very affordable and very high quality brand, and everything that I've tried of Arteza have been high quality and affordable, so I definitely recommend these. I will open this up. I love the tin. I have accidentally damaged the tin. That's my fault, not the company. The lid has broken off, but again, that's on me. That's on me, not on Arteza at all. These pencils are lovely, and whilst I mean, I'll show you. There's, if I can do this without spilling them everywhere. I actually haven't used that many colours. The reason for that is I use the same few colours over and over again. So you can see, sort of, most colours are full. I haven't used very many. So I'm kind of basing this off the few colours I have used. But compare this to the dark brown, for example. I've used that one a lot. But from the colours I have used, they are just so smooth and so kind of creamy texture-wise that they're just a pleasure to use. And I think when you've got coloured pencils especially that are a joy to use and the colour goes down well, then it actually increases your pleasurability when it comes to making art. If you have art supplies that are, I don't want to say bad quality, but some art supplies that you'll find might be, say, cheap and not work as well. And when you have that experience, you can end up making art that you don't enjoy because it's not fun to use. Whereas these pencils, I really love using them. So yeah, I definitely recommend them. They've got quite a thick lead. I don't know if you can't really tell. I mean, showing you like this, you can't really tell, but they have, on the tin it says 4mm lead, so that's how thick the actual lead is itself. It means it's pretty hard to break. So comparing the Arteza pencils to my experiences with Prismacolor, I found Prismacolor, I don't know whether this is just my experience or whether I just got a bad batch, but the Prismacolor pencils break a lot, or did break a lot when I would sharpen them, and I'd get to the point I was just finished sharpening them, and I take out the sharpener and the lead would fall out because it snapped halfway down the barrel or halfway down the shaft of the pencil, and I'd have to keep sharpening it and ultimately end up with a pencil that's like this, and I've only used it once because the lead kept snapping. Whereas I haven't had that issue with the Arteza pencils. I'm not going to say that this is exclusive, like I'm not going to say that this is the only experience you're going to have, but If you want a combination of affordability and high quality, Arteza is pretty much the way to go for any art supplies. So I do recommend trying out Arteza. So if you do like the idea of Arteza, much like Ohuhu, I do have affiliate links in the description below. Like I said, the tin's really nice, a nice solid metal tin. Try them out, get them, the expert tin, they're really nice. Just quickly before I get on to my final must-have art supply, if you're an artist who wants to get advice about being an artist as well as receive support and guidance on your art journey, then I'd love it so much if you considered subscribing to this channel. Last of all, I'm going to talk about my favourite watercolours. This set of 24 whole pan Cotman watercolours by Winsor & Newton is probably older than I am. If that's not a ringing endorsement, I don't know what is. But this was actually my dad's set and he gave it to me. Yeah. I've had this for a long time. You can tell it's well used, well loved. I do really love using it. It is absolutely my go-to when it comes to watercolour painting now. If you consider the fact that most of these pans are older than me, then they are doing really well. A couple of them are a little bit drier in texture, which, you know, they can be replaced, but I've had no issues actually using them. They just take a little bit more water to actually reactivate them, but that's fine. You can get these today and they're probably more modern paints which will actually last longer and be, you know, better for now. But I'm not saying go out and buy yourself a 30-year-old watercolour palette. You can buy these brand new. But I do recommend them for the fact that the selection of colour is lovely, the paints themselves are lovely, and this will last you forever. You're onto a winner when you've got something you know is going to last you for a long time. You don't actually need much pigment when it comes to doing watercolours anyway. And sure, I'm not using this every single day. And there are a few which, like this green one, is running on the lower end, but you can just take them out and replace them if you need to. This could be very well teaching your grandmother to suck eggs kind of thing. Like, everybody knows you can get watercolour pans and you can get palettes to put them in. But this is specifically the Cotman watercolour paints by Winsor & Newton. I think on the pricier side, I think all watercolour paints are going to be pricey. But then when you compare the fact that you actually get decades worth of paint every time you buy them, it's well worth the investment. They're going to last you a long time. You can get smaller versions of this. This is quite a large and cumbersome palette. This bit comes off. Again, this palette is like 30 years old, so I don't know whether there's much in the way of changes. Probably are going to be changes to what you can get now. You can actually get small versions which you have the 24 colours, but it comes in a set like this, so you don't get as much paint, but it's all kind of condensed. When you get full pans, there's a lot of paint in there, and that's going to last you a long time. I do recommend Cotman. You can get tube versions as well, so it's not just palettes, it's not just pans, which depending on your preference basically. Again, this is just my point of view, but the fact is that you can just fold this up and take it with you wherever you go. I think you can actually get Cotman portable sets that have liquid tubes in them as well, so again, what I say, a pinch of salt, but I do love the Winsor & Newton palettes. Nice range of colours, and it will last you your lifetime. I hope this does last my lifetime. I'll let you know in another like 20-30 years whether this is still going, but I imagine it will be. It's a good set and well loved, I tell you, well loved. So those are a few of my must-have art supplies. They are ones that I love and that I do recommend. As always, there are alternatives available. Now, what do you think? Are there any art supplies that you just couldn't be without anymore? Is there anything here that you use and you recommend? Or are there any here that you use but you don't actually like? I want to hear from you. Let me know in the comments below. As always, thank you so much for watching. Please do consider subscribing if you're not already. Follow the links for Ohuhu and Arteza in the description below. There's also Amazon there. You might be able to get some of these art supplies on Amazon as well. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again for the next video. Bye, guys.